I've loaded my hoop with a tearaway stabilizer. I know it's tearaway because I can tear it. And I've got the finger block loaded into my machine. So I'm just going to start the button. And the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to stitch what I call a placement line for the background fabric. So I prepared my fabric by placing some Pellon Shape Flex Fusible 101 on the back side of the fabric. So if I didn't put it on, you can see the difference. Back side here, back side with Pellon Shape Flex. And what this does is it just keeps your embroidery from puckering a lot, and it kind of acts like a secondary stabilizer, and it just gives you a really professional end result. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the square inside the placement lines, and then I'm going to just press my button, and it's going to tack stitch the square in place. You should probably tape this instead of holding it with your fingers. So here you can see how it tacked it down just to hold it in place. The next step that's going to take place is it's going to stitch a placement line for my finger fabric. So I'm going to start the button again and let that stitch out. Here you can see the finger. Now I'm going to lay my red fabric, and I also have a piece of batting underneath my red fabric because I like it to have a little bit of puff. I like my applique to have a little bit of puff. So I'm going to lay that so it's completely covering the finger. I would advise you taping the four corners. I'm not going to do that, but I would advise you to do that. And I'm going to start the button, and I'm going to stitch out the finger. You probably noticed that the stitches went around 2 times. That's to give you an extra hold. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to trim away all this excess fabric. And hopefully you'll be able to see this while I do it. And you notice I've laid my applique on a nice flat surface. You don't want to do this in your lap. And I'm pulling up as I trim, and I want to get really close. So when I do videos, one of 2 things always seems to happen. 1, the battery dies in the middle of the video, which it just did, and 2, the dog starts barking. So we'll just have to deal with a few of those things. So I'm going to continue trimming this out. I'm going to hold it up really tight so that I can get as close to the stitches as possible without cutting through the stitches. Trying to get into the camera. There you go. Now that's excess. It can go in the trash. And now I'm going to put the embroidery design, the hoop, back into the machine. Oh, and I did change the bobbin and the top thread to a white. There is a thread stop before you get to the pound sign and the number 1. This is if you want to have a different color, like maybe your finger is orange and you want blue and white. So you have that option. very last thing that's going to stitch will be the satin stitches that go all the way around the edge of the finger. So I just match whatever my fabric color was. So my fabric color was red on this finger, so I put red bobbin and red thread, and now I'm just going to start and let the machine do its thing.